Right, so Leeds United's managing director, Robbie Evans, has been talking about the summer transfer window, and we're going to be getting into some of his quotes. It looks like he's given some feedback back to the BBC. And we're going to be getting into that today because it is the first reaction effectively from the board, talking about PSR, talking about the structure of deals, talking about what happened, what went on deadline day. Stay with me throughout this, everybody. Let's get into the video. Let me know your thoughts. We're just going to be pulling out specific quotes and trying to do a little bit of an evaluation on it, point, evidence, explanation. Get your thoughts in the comment section below. It is, of course, the second video of the day. Make sure you check out the earlier one. Let's get into it. So I guess the key headlines already are that Evans has said that we maxed out on spending and did everything possible within the PSR rules. Today, obviously, we're going to be going through this, and for me, it's not really adding up. So the first bit of it I wanted to touch on was he's mentioned to the BBC that this summer we spent everything we could unequivocally. We are maxing out on PSR this season. For me, it's you had a bad deadline day, but you maxed out on spending, and something for me there isn't really making sense, because how can you say you've maxed out on PSR but still be bidding permanently for Harry Wilson, which was rumoured from 7 to 10 million quid on deadline day? Either you had the money and failed to land your targets, or you were at the limit and shouldn't have been chasing them at all. It comes back to that whole scenario of, if you knew that you were about to get to a PSR limit, if you knew you were about to get there, why 2 or 3 weeks ago are you spending up to £10 million on a backup fullback in James Justin if you know you're close? Why are you looking at No Okafor and spending a record amount of money on No Okafor in the attacking side of the pitch? But if your target is Harry Wilson towards the back end of the window, you know Wilson is going to cost around 7 to 10 million quid. Surely you plan for that. Surely maybe you plan for a loan backup, a youngster who's coming up, of which there are many of, that you can utilise instead of going in and spending 10 million quid on James Justin in the Championship for Leicester. Now, I like Justin, but let's be honest, it's not the most va-va-voom signing. I think we all looked at it, winced a little bit, and thought that's a lot of money for James Justin. We didn't expect it to be that much. Quote 2 that I picked out. So he said that if we had gone on to other targets, even if we had gone on to other targets in July, the consequences would have been the same in the current roster. More key players had to go. So for me, they had until the 30th of June next year to sell. You know, even if we stayed up and spent more now, we'd need to sell someone. So that's the key, really. The club had wiggle room until June next year. Other Premier Leagues spend first, then balance their books later. Instead, what it looks like with Leeds United is we played it cautious and ended up short. And obviously then you look at the outgoings were pitiful. Absolutely pitiful when it comes to Christensen. I think he was the highest value player we got rid of, and then Sam Greenwood. Hi everybody, just a quick break in proceedings. This video is sponsored by Tester Up. If you literally spend time on your phone like I do, why on earth don't you get paid for it? That is what Tester Up are here for. So here's how Tester Up works, and it's super straightforward. You literally sign up for free, browse a list of apps and games, and then you get paid just for testing them out. Literally, you play a game, answer a few questions, and then earn a bit of money. I tried it out myself, downloaded a game, played a couple of levels, and boom, I got paid. It was that simple. The layout's really clean, it's really simple, and obviously easy to navigate, and there's new apps every time which you can use and then get paid for using them. Now, this app, everybody, is completely free. They do bank transfer payouts within 24 hours, and you can get paid 80 quid per app, which is obviously a bit wild. It's got over 3 million users and a 4.2 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot. So if you want to try it out, everybody, the link will be in the description. We've got a QR code on screen right now if you want to scan it with the old camera phone. Download Tester Up, have a go at some apps, get paid for it. Why not? And that was it. You know, you're terminating Patrick Bamford's contract. You've still got Melee at the club. You've still got Joel Peru at the club. And we'll get onto that in a little bit, who could have gone for big value. Then at the end of the day as well, you've got Strauk at the club, of which, you know, if you needed to, we wouldn't have liked it. I think he's been a brilliant performer for Leeds this season, but if you needed that to get attacking players in, and you could have replaced him with, you know, a player off maybe Bornau's level, of which could be used as rotation, because you're going to have Rodon, you're going to have Biol as your starting centre-backs, Bornau and maybe another, you know, it could be a loan again, and just meticulously worked out how you work around PSR. You get rid of maybe Strauk, you get rid of Peru, then you bring in money, you work around PSR, and then you can bring in key targets who are going to get you to 50 goals this season. Right now, this Leeds United team is not scoring as it is 50 goals in a season to keep you up in the Premier League. It's just not happening for me. So it looks like that was a little bit of naivety from what Robbie Evans has said here. He also said that we, rather than sell players like Tanaka, Strauk and Peru, we ticked off our highest priority boxes first. They wanted to sell fringe players, Aronson, Harrison, Melier, Bamford. But when that didn't happen, they had to readjust and stick with cheaper options like Okafor, DCL, instead of pushing the boat out. So the board for me, they chose to keep everyone. But really, it's because when you're looking at the outgoings, did anybody actually want to go out there and buy your players? Would have sought, if they really pushed the boat out for someone like Peru, who's always had interest in the Dutch league in terms of Eindhoven and Feyenoord. They've always been key reports from the Dutch side as well. A championship club who's just been relegated. We know Southampton have always had interest in Joel Peru. Surely they could have moved and maybe pushed him out there a little bit. Joel Peru, in terms of a player that's maybe not going to acclimatise, then you get that money in, you're able to wiggle around PSR a little bit more and maybe go out and get a Demirovic. Maybe if you get Straucher and Peru out, you give yourself that wiggle room a little bit. They're talking like they chose to keep everyone, but I don't think it's because of that. I think there's an overflow from the previous ownership, but I also think maybe there wasn't that interest from players. Aside from Tanaka, you're obviously going to keep all the Tanaka and there would have been interest there, but was there enough interest in Strauch and Peru? And we were actually pushing the interest in Strauch and Peru. Mele is another one. We know they overvalued him earlier. Marseille wanted him in previous windows. Leeds said no, they wanted more. Have we got to a stage of the Mele where we just can't sell him? Gruev, I can't imagine there was that much interest in him. There was talk at the beginning of the window of Werder Bremen. Could they have moved him on? Could they have pitched him out there a little bit more? Does Daniel Farke like him? I don't know, because there's contradictions here, because Farke did want more players and effectively said that the squad needs to improve. They're talking as if they chose to keep everyone. Sunderland had it easy selling Bellingham. We know that he was always going to go, but maybe we were stuck with players of which they didn't market. They didn't want to try and go sell. Maybe that was the whole issue. Maybe Peru wasn't put out there. Maybe Strout wasn't put out there. Maybe that was the key. And maybe just Leeds thought they were going to get players in around that for under that £100 million bracket, which is just completely naive if they thought they'd keep all the players and get everything they need for under £100 million. He also said, we bought in the key players and we got them done early. Every player we signed is our top choice. I think when I look at it, obviously the top choices, we knew Pajau was in there. We knew, obviously, Wilson was clearly one of these towards the back end of the window. We knew Muniz was some of their choices as well. But if you're looking at sort of Justin and Okafor as your top choices, and then you're sort of missing out on Wilson and Pajau, then your priorities in recruitment are a little bit off, in my opinion. Yeah, they probably did max out on spending. That's the truth of it. The fact they maxed out on Okafor and Justin is probably the biggest failure that they've got right there, especially if they know they're close to that limit, which we've spoken about before. Why would you spend 10 million quid on your backup right back if you're close to the limit? Why would you then spend now 21 million euros on a player out wide who's had physical readiness issues, has played 4 times for Napoli in the second half of the season, and then has scored 1 goal in 15 in AC Milan in the first half of the season? For me, it just doesn't line up, and the priorities when you're focusing on that. And yeah, you've missed out on Pajau, which was earlier on in the window. But if there was going to be a target of Wilson towards the back of the window, we always know for a permanent, he's going to be 7 to 10 million quid. He's out of contract towards the back end of the season. You might as well get him on a permanent. A loan doesn't make any sense. Then it looks like there's no preparation there because you've gone and got Justin and Okafor for a combined 30 odd million quid. Evans then said, it's frustrating because that was the cherry on the top for us. We wanted one more attacker and we didn't get him. Well, Daniel Farke said he wanted a couple. Thankfully, we did the majority of our business before the last day. What's confusing here is Leeds have claimed that they met Fulham's demands for Wilson. But now the line is, we spent all we could. So this, once again, it comes back down to the recruitment standpoint of we've just not been able to sell. And this is why we're in such a massive issue when it comes to PSR. You know, we had all the money tied up, but no outgoings, you know, with the likes of Firpo, Bamford, Melier, no incomings. And evidently that's killed our ability to pivot later on in the window, but they knew this beforehand. They knew what limit we were at, and that's the confusing part of it all, to be honest with you. Evans has also said, we ended the window, frankly, better than I thought we would have done in May. It's just a bit of spin, innit? It's just a bit of spin. You know, he said as well, he was quoted as saying that we're averaging 2 points a game at home. Played 2 fixtures, Robbie. You played 2 fixtures, mate. Like, let's not insult people's intelligence here. We can say this after 10 games, you know, we're averaging a certain amount at home. It's great. It's just been 2 games. You know, we can't take that as a longevity look, really. It's not a great article. There's a lot of contradictions in it for me. I don't think fans are buying it. And, you know, saying stuff like in the article, we're averaging 2 points per game at home, or 2 points a game at home. Come on. We've had 2 games at home. It's not enough of a sample size. So I think the main fans' frustration is the club claiming to max out on PSR while bidding late, the failure to sell underperforming players. spending on depth rather than difference makers, which feels like it's been a big thing. And I think now we can look at it really overall and probably look at it as a mid window, really. So Evans calls it a success. Everybody online is calling it a spin. We've got a stronger 11, but we still look very light in attack and midfield depth. Was this a smart, cautious window or a missed chance to really establish ourselves in the Premier League? Let us know what you think, guys, in the comment section below. Interesting thoughts. Make sure you read the article. I'll probably pin it below for you guys. It's been a pleasure. Check out the video from earlier on. I'll see you in a bit.
Hi, guys. I just had to read the second part of the interview, and just to summarise it all for you, there's a second part basically, and he said that it was better, Robbie Evans said it was better for Leeds and Illan Meslier because none of the offers came towards what they thought Leeds' valuation was for Illan Meslier, which is just mental. So it was better for both player and club for Illan Meslier to stay. Now we have 4 goalkeepers registered, so I mean that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Another bit to add on to it as well is Robbie Evans said ideally they don't want to be going into the market in January, and that's what the summer preparation is all about. So yeah, this is slightly worrying. It is slightly worrying, the fact that they genuinely believe we've had like a really good window. Spoke about Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, and how DCL was wanted by Champions League clubs that we've spoken about and all this sort of stuff. But are we similar to that of Rodrigo Muniz? I would disagree with that. I don't think they're similar whatsoever. But I do understand it was one of Leeds' targets, and they've basically said in the second interview as well that they look at the medical team when it comes to Metcher and when it comes to Lewin, and these were all things taken into consideration in the medical team, with Byram, with Solomon, with Firpo. They felt that it was effectively worth the risk. It's really worrying sometimes. So I do think objectively the squad has improved, but it had to improve from Championship to Premier League. But I do think it is worrying how they see the squad makeup. That's the biggest thing for me right now, how they see the squad looking right now, where they think the squad is at right now, and how maybe internally, I don't know if it's a spin, but internally how they seem to think that this window has been a very good one, barring maybe one target, of which, you know, still means the squad is in very good shape. So that's my overriding take with it, everybody. I'm slightly worried by this because I don't know if they feel that they've missed out significantly. I feel like, I mean, he said, didn't he, the quote was, that would have been the cherry on top of the cake, which in my mind sees them thinking it's a really top window, it's a really good window, of which we all know it's not. We all know it's not. But yeah, the Meslier thing was concerning. The January thing was even more concerning, that they don't really want to go into the market in January. He said, you know, you get to a certain amount and you've got 8 games left, and then you're in the January window, almost like counting down. And he was just saying that, you know, this is why we've got the ball. This is why we've effectively done the business in the summer. So we'd have to go in January. But there were 3 bids you put in on the final day and none of them came off. So, I mean, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. The little bit of an add-on here has just been something which I've just had to add to the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll see you in a bit.